If there was one festival I was getting the most requests from viewers to attend this year, it was the Blue Ridge Rock Festival in Virginia. And if there's one festival I'm glad I was on the opposite side of the country for this year, it was the Blue Ridge Rock Festival in Virginia. The self-proclaimed biggest rock festival in America has now earned the new title of Worst Festival in America and possibly one of the worst festivals ever put on. And I'm not exaggerating. If you aren't aware of what happened at this year's Blue Ridge Rock Fest, oh don't worry, I think you're going to be hearing a lot about it for a while. What was promised to be an incredible weekend with thousands of rock and metal fans celebrating together, partying, and enjoying some of metal's biggest bands turned into an actual traumatic nightmare where thousands of people were abandoned, abused, taken advantage of, and put in very real life-threatening danger. All because of a criminal organizer who's now lying about what happened. But this fuck-up was such a disaster that it's not gonna go away anytime soon, because I'm about to tell you what really happened at Blue Ridge Rock Fest this year, and the real reason why it was canceled, and why everyone who attended is so angry. So headbang the like button, windmill the video to your friends, and stage dive onto the subscribe button. And if you're a fan of my videos, consider becoming a member of the channel. Memberships start at only 99 cents a month, and each one of them really helps me toward putting on a festival that was better than this one. And with that said, let me tell you what really happened at Blue Ridge Rock Fest and why it was really canceled.
Hold on to your butts.
Blue Ridge took place at the Virginia International Raceway and was to feature over 150 artists over 4 days, 5 if you include the pre-party the day before. But on the first official day of the festival, a massive dangerous storm came out of nowhere and the festival had to end early and evacuate. The next day did see bands get to perform as promised, but by the next morning, the rest of the festival had been officially canceled. Blue Ridge's official statement on Instagram reads, "Dear Blue Ridge fans, with heavy hearts due to this weekend's continued severe weather, we must announce the cancellation of the final days of Blue Ridge Rock Festival. Your safety and well-being are our foremost concerns. We understand the disappointment this brings, and we share immensely in your sadness. Please know that this decision was made with the utmost consideration for everyone involved, and our focus now is on supporting those of you still on site. We are working diligently to provide refund details and will share that information early this week when business reopens. In the meantime, we encourage you to stay safe and take care of each other. This has been an agonizing turn of events for what was to be such a special weekend. There will be much more that we unveil over the next few days. Rest assured, we will take care of you despite these difficult circumstances. Thank you for everything. With heartfelt gratitude, Blue Ridge Rock Festival." And if you read this from an outside view, you would think, oh, well that sucks, but hey, the festival did the best they can. Except if you ask anyone who was at Blue Ridge, and I do mean literally anyone who was there, they'll tell you that this is complete bullshit.
When they canceled the show on Saturday, it was a very small rainstorm. It was over by 2 p.m., which was when we told we would get updated. The whole ride home, me and my wife looked at clear skies and being like, why the fuck could we not see Black Label Society? Why could we not see the youth? Was it really because the bands weren't safe?
And there's people in those comments that are like, well, why is it the venue's fault for the weather? You know, why are people so mad? I need you people to understand something. They lied to us.
They canceled that festival because it was a shit show.
Let me just say that I've never seen such a universal condemnation of a festival before. When everything was going down, my phone was exploding with notifications from people there saying I had to make a video on what was going on. It seems to be a very common agreement among people who were there that this was absolutely the worst festival they'd ever experienced. It's really interesting how this official statement from the festival forgot to mention how people had to wait in lines of up to 13 hours to get into the festival, or that there were only 2 water stations for 60,000 people, or that people were forced to leave their cars 5 miles away and were required to take a shuttle they had to pay for, or that they kinda maybe stranded thousands of people in a lightning storm with no shelter for hours, or how most of the staff walked off in solidarity after being mistreated. Just slipped their minds, I suppose. It's been a busy few days. The truth about what actually happened at Blue Ridge 2020 2023 is that from all around, top to bottom, it was a completely unorganized clusterfuck of criminal negligence. And I do mean that. This isn't a case of a poor old festival organizer just doing his best for the fans, but Mother Nature had other plans, unfortunately. With everyone taking to the internet to complain and tell their stories, a lot of rumors and hearsay have been mixed in, but I've done my best to look through everything, and here is what I can confirm definitely happened. To start off with, anyone who wasn't camping at Blue Ridge was required to park in a field that was 5 miles away. 5 miles away. They then had to take a shuttle bus to the festival that cost $50 a person for a shuttle that you were required to take to even attend in the first place. And Blue Ridge had one entrance and exit in the exact same place and nowhere near enough buses for more than 50,000 people. This led to attendees waiting in lines of up to 5-10 hours before even getting to the entrance. Many people have reported this. I'd be pissed off after 2 hours. Also, I have a personal message for all festivals out there that put their parking far away and make everyone take shuttles. Stop. Literally nobody likes it. People were reporting that when they left the festival, even when it wasn't super busy, it still takes some 2 hours to get back to their cars a lot of the time. And the people who were camping didn't have it any better. According to many people, the line to get into camping was also taking up to 13 hours to get in, with many saying people were running out of gas and falling asleep in their cars and had to be woken up when the line would move.
It's a field, bro.
This is what? Almost hour 16?
Almost hour 16, yeah. Hour 16 of fucking
hours
camping.
Just
Attempting.
waiting in line to get to it.
Yeah, just waiting in line to get to a campsite, to be honest.
We've gone in.
Look at that fucking open ass field right over there.
I certainly wouldn't have thought to bring extra gas in case I had to wait in line for half of a day. Naturally, many of these people missed bands and events that they'd paid for and arrived in time to see. Once they actually got into the camping, they were treated to a thorough search by festival security that consisted of, "Hey, you got any weapons? Nah? Alright, cool." Also, I should mention that both the parking and camping areas were completely mismanaged and overflowing. Many people saying they had no idea where the fuck they were supposed to go, and the security they asked didn't have any idea either. Both were so oversold that they spilled out into the surrounding areas. After dealing with all of that shit, if anyone did actually make it inside the festival grounds on Thursday, they were treated to scorching heat, little shade, and exactly 2 small water stations for the entire festival.
They started talking about how they had 12 water stations this year. It was 12 faucets attached to 2 watering stations, half of which were all relegated to VIP. That's fucked up.
So the thousands of people who didn't get VIP had 1 water station, leading to, again, crazy long lines, with reports of people passing out from heat exhaustion.
I turn my head, and Bradley just hits the fucking ground. He like landed on his knees and his elbow. Thank God he didn't land on his fucking head. The heat just got to him.
This was reported a lot, with people saying that they saw people falling over left and right and EMTs going all over the place. The heat was so excessive that many people said they saw security dogs needing IVs to not die. Apparently, during the excessive heat, Blue Ridge eventually did provide extra water in the form of free warm water bottles that had just been left out on the ground somewhere. Or they could pay for water for $5 at one of the bars and food stands for people that were all a complete robbery. According to one of the vendors who worked the event, the reason your festival food is so expensive is because they charge the vendors they invite about 50% of their profits just to sell there. In addition, they make each vendor use a point of sale system provided by the festival that charges a markup on each transaction. Then they don't allow cash at any of the booths, so you can't avoid it. Then they give you a wristband to load money onto so you don't have to carry a card. But they charge an additional fee to use that on top of the point of sale system fee. Oh, and they don't provide refunds for unused wristband funds. But they'll shut down the event and take back their point of sale system so you can't use the remaining balance. This is why your smoothie was easily $7 to $8 more than the $15 listed price. Attendees were also treated to massive piles of garbage all over and rancid porta potties due to the lack of cleaning. And the few toxic porta potties there were the only bathrooms for the entire festival. About 60,000 people sharing what I'm hearing was less than 20 porta potties that weren't being cleaned for days at a time, if at all. Campers had the privilege of enjoying dirty showers that only gave freezing water, often were broken, and sometimes even had human sewage flowing in them. Now this already sounds pretty fucking terrible, but holy shit, buckle up folks, this train is about to go straight off the tracks and crash right into Shitsville. In the same day as this blistering heat wave, a torrential lightning storm full of 60-mile-an-hour winds and dime-sized hail just blitzkrieged the festival out of fucking nowhere. Blue Ridge issued an evacuation order and tens of thousands of people all had to immediately find shelter. But there was just one little tiny problem. There was no shelter. At all. Anywhere. People reported trying to shelter in bar and food booths and being yelled at to leave by security. Some people took shelter under the main stage, which is extremely dangerous. The campers went to their tents only to find many of them completely destroyed by the storm. People having to camp in their cars, people having to use other tents because theirs was destroyed. But for the people who weren't camping and had to get back to their cars, remember, the parking lot was 5 fucking miles away from the festival. So Blue Ridge's official message to all of these people was to go to the shuttle buses and take shelter there. The location everyone was sent to shelter from the lightning storm was just the road outside where they'd been dropped off earlier. Just a street. No cover. Not only that, but there clearly weren't anywhere near enough buses for that many people to suddenly evacuate at the same time. And according to a lot of people, none of the buses were even there at the start of the evacuation. So during an emergency storm that was so bad the festival had to evacuate, telling people to take shelter from dangerous winds, hail, rain, and lightning. Thousands of people had literally nowhere to go. I can't fucking believe these stories. During a storm with 60-mile-an-hour winds, thick hail, torrential rain, and lightning, thousands of people were left stranded outside for hours. No shelter, no cover, no food, no water, no heat, not much light.
So we get down to that line. We waited cold, wet, and hungry in that line for, what, 3-4 hours to evacuate?
4 hours we were waiting in that line. 4 fucking hours. And everybody is soaked. And what happens, because it was windy as hell. What happens if a fucking tree came down or a branch fell down and really hurt somebody?
Hiding under trees during a lightning storm. I'm not a scientist, but even I know that trees and lightning don't exactly get along. The torrential downpour of rain lasted about an hour, and the storm started to calm down after. But even after it had stopped raining, everyone was still soaked to the bone in freezing temperatures. Many people reported having to wait 4 to 6 hours in these conditions before actually getting onto the shuttles. 4 hours of starving in the dark with no bathroom, freezing from head to toe, and genuinely fearing for your life. People were legitimately terrified, and they had no one to give them any helpful information. Thankfully, no one was killed. But if lightning had struck any of these trees in the hours that people were out there, this could have been worse than Astroworld. You may be thinking, at the very least, they must have gotten the ADA people to safety. Nope. Reports say ADA was basically abandoned and left to just cross their fingers and figure it out for themselves. This person said during the storm, their partner drove through the festival grounds to get his mother and other ADA attendees from where they'd been stranded. So this was clearly not cool. There's serious criminal negligence all over this situation. But we're going to come back to that in a bit, because believe it or not, it actually gets worse. I know. The next day, Friday, comes around, the second official day of Blue Ridge. While attendees still have to deal with the insane lines that took hours, extreme prices, plus the campground had been basically destroyed, the storm had stopped at this point, and bands did actually perform the whole day. People did get to see killer sets from bands like Slipknot, Danzig, Motionless in White, Electric Callboy, and many more that I don't remember. But a lot of people probably won't have pictures or videos from these sets, as there were mass reports of phones being stolen. Apparently teams of completely worthless scumbag assholes had infiltrated the festival and were going around snatching people's phones, leaving hundreds of broken empty phone cases all over the place. Remember that very thorough security search I mentioned earlier? But curiously, at the exact same time that people in the festival were getting to enjoy some great sets while being robbed, fans who had just come from the parking lot after waiting 5 hours in line to get on that stupid shuttle were being turned away by security at the front. Fans that had paid for tickets and had their wristbands were told that the rest of the day was canceled due to the weather. People reported turning on their phones when they got cell service again, because apparently no one could get cell service at the festival, and they would see on Instagram bands that they were told were canceled playing at the festival.
By the way, it's a sunny day, like clear as day. They're like, everything's been shut down, they're doing it again, there's a thunderstorm 20 miles away, they're not letting anyone in. But people that had already gotten into the venue in the morning are still there, are still enjoying the concert, everything is still going on, and they are just not able to let new people in. But everyone that is there is able to enjoy the freaking festival that's still going on right now as we speak.
Once we got to a place where we could get signal, we start looking on the Facebook thing. They're posting videos of Flyleaf playing. The fucking security guards said they were evacuating the venue.
So people were told the festival was shut down while fans were currently inside watching bands. That seems kinda weird. The following morning of Saturday, after some fans had already waited in the shuttle line for a few hours, the festival announced via Instagram that the remainder of Blue Ridge Rock Fest was officially canceled due to severe weather, stating, "Your safety and well-being are our foremost concerns. Our foremost concerns. Our foremost concerns."
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's why?
Blue Ridge had officially collapsed, and as I said, there was barely any cell service at the festival, so many people, mainly the campground, found out about the cancellation by people just walking around telling each other. Staff was long gone at this point, and tens of thousands of people who'd all traveled to be there, some from different states, some from different countries, who'd all paid anywhere from $500 to a couple $1,000, took time off work, many being their only vacation of the year, after working hard and saving up for it and planning all year for what they were promised would be an amazing, fun weekend. All of them ended up being left broken, robbed, abandoned, and completely devastated. I've been reading people's personal stories since it happened, and it's heartbreaking. I really do sympathize with everyone who suffered through this bullshit. You didn't deserve to be treated so badly and taken advantage of just to see your favorite bands. While reading the comments, I did see some people being annoyed with the people saying how horrible the experience was. Some people, not many, but some, were saying things like, "LOL, the festival can't control the weather, it's not their fault. They didn't make it rain. It sucks it got canceled, but you can't control the weather, guys. You're all overreacting." Now, as I said, I wasn't at Blue Ridge Rock Festival this year, but I am the savior of metal, and I do feel I'm qualified to speak on behalf of the attendees of Blue Ridge Rock Festival and tell the people saying these things that sincerely shut the fuck up.
Stop it. Get some help.
No, Blue Ridge cannot control the weather. They didn't do a magic rain dance, but they absolutely, 100%, can't control their plan for emergencies in an outdoor area known for extreme weather. Blue Ridge can control the shelter they provide in case of bad weather, of which there was zero. Blue Ridge can control fans being kicked out of what little shelter there was, only to be forced into a dangerous storm. Blue Ridge can control people having to wait hours after an evacuation was declared to actually get on the shuttles. And Blue Ridge can control the fact that they gave vendors a 13-minute warning and specifically told them not to warn fans. Clearly, the fans' safety and well-being was of their utmost concern. But aside from all of that, there was something very strange about Blue Ridge's claim that the cancellation was due to severe weather, as according to everyone who was there, it wasn't raining at this point.
According to my friend who camped up there and actually went to the Slipknot show on the second day, it didn't rain at all.
The next day, when I saw that Blue Ridge Festival was canceled due to weather, I was like, no fucking way. I looked at the radar immediately. And there was no weather in that area at all.
In fact, it was probably the nicest it'd been the entire festival. The forecast over the remaining days didn't indicate anything severe. Fans were very confused and got no answers from anyone, obviously. It wasn't till everyone was able to get online again that the truth was revealed. The real reason why Blue Ridge Rock Festival 2023 was canceled is because between Friday and Saturday, 200 staff members walked off in solidarity and went on strike due to absolutely fucking atrocious work conditions. And once everyone found out what those conditions were, fans strongly agreed with them doing so. According to multiple workers, in fact, every single worker you can find. Many had been there for 1 to 2 weeks setting up the festival and were forced to endure 12-hour shifts in 90-degree weather where they were barely given any water or food, if at all, and lived in even worse conditions than the fans were. According to one worker, they had to stop working one day to force Blue Ridge to give them water. They never cleaned the toilets or the trash for the workers, who were forced to live in their own filth. The employee showers, which were few, didn't work, and staff were forced to either not shower after working 12-hour shifts in the sun for several days, or wait till they got off work and drive themselves 60 miles in one direction to the nearest gym and pay for a shower themselves, then get back to the festival as soon as possible to keep working.
And we just wanted working showers, you know, we wanted a water station at our campsite.
Another worker said a lot of us was driving off site to Pilot or Planet Fitness to shower. Will we get that money back? Some couldn't get back in for 2 hours and had to be at work at 7 a.m. So imagine working till 10:30 p.m. and getting off to no showers, having to drive to shower, wait 2 hours, lay down for a few hours and be back at work at 7 a.m. with no food. Get pushed to load and unload several trucks, talk to like you don't matter, but continue to work 15-hour shifts while everyone else is catered to. For many of the days, staff didn't get any food at all, and on the rare times they did, Blue Ridge was kind enough to give them shit like this. That's your meal for 2 days. Go work 15 hours moving heavy shit around. Other workers said other meals they rarely got were 1 piece of bacon with 1 banana. So the festival staff were literally being starved and forced to do grueling work in unsanitary and unsafe conditions. Conditions that can make people sick and have serious problems, aside from being just fucking abhorrent in the first place. Working at a festival is not easy work. Everyone who does it knows to expect a pretty rough, dirty, exhausting time. These workers weren't expecting to be treated like royalty, but just as human fucking beings and not abused farm animals. As one worker said, they neglected to provide even the basic necessities they were obligated to give us. Staff report that after much discussion between themselves and fighting to persevere, the staff decided enough was enough and went on strike as of Friday, posting their list of demands for improvements around the festival. And when Blue Ridge Shitfest failed to provide even a single one of those, 200 staff members walked the fuck out, with most of them going straight to either shower, eat, or go to the hospital even. A few hours later, after they walked, after some people had already waited to get on the shuttles, Blue Shit Fuck Fest announced via Instagram that the remaining days were being canceled due to weather. This caused mass confusion amongst the fans who were standing outside in beautiful weather. Many didn't believe it was true that the festival was canceled and waited around for a while to see if there'd be another sudden update, but nope. It was done. According to one person who is a lighting tech there, final day as a lighting tech at Blue Ridge Rock Fest. Glad it's coming to an end at this point. We have no labor help anymore from the hands striking due to poor accommodations provided by the festival and no catering. We only got to run 1 successful day of show, LOL. And now about 15 of us are heading in to break down all production on both main stages by ourselves. This is what happens when the stagehands, aka the backbone of all music festivals, shows, concerts, corporate gigs, etc., are treated like the lowest of the totem pole when they are one of the most necessary components of a successful event. To all you techs out there that treat stagehands like you don't need them, this could be you, loading out your own crap in the mud and rain with just you and your techs. We are stagehands first, never forget that. We need them and need to treat them better. To my stagehand friends who are striking, y'all did it. I am so proud of y'all. I hope this helps them understand how big of a piece of the puzzle you all play. I hate the conditions y'all were living in. Hope you all get home safe. P.S. Fuck you for leaving me. If there is one thing that everyone in the music industry should know, it's that you don't fuck with the crew. They are just as important as the musicians, if not more so. Without them, nothing happens. You don't have a concert without your crew, which Blue Ball Shitfest quickly discovered. These guys weren't asking for anything special even. They literally wanted food and water. Once the cancellation went out, Blue Ball Shit Festival immediately started their gaslighting campaign to control the narrative of what really happened. Saying it was canceled due to weather is a sneaky legal tactic used to try to get out of any serious consequences. If a festival is canceled for weather, well, there's just nothing you can do about that. Since it was impossible to avoid the weather, the festival may not have to give back refunds, or be investigated further for what they were really doing. And Blue Ridge might have had a better chance of getting away with it if they hadn't left the comments on in their social media posts. Damn near everyone who was there flooded into the comment section to scream as loud as they could through their keyboard that everyone knew the festival was not canceled due to weather. A few hours after the cancellation was announced due to weather and safety, on the same afternoon, a couple of members of Shinedown, Papa Roach, and Richmond, North of Richmond singer Oliver Anthony, who I fucking love by the way, decided to throw together a makeshift acoustic performance in the campground. When they announced it at first, Blue Ridge tried to shut it down, but then suddenly changed their narrative to promoting it like it was their idea. Something they did out of the kindness of their hearts. Yeah, no, Blue Ridge had nothing to do with that campground show. That was 100% just those artists being cool to fans when they didn't have to. But you may notice in this video that it's not fucking raining. Saturday and Sunday never had anything anyone would consider to be severe weather. Blue Ridge Rock Festival was not canceled because of the weather. They are lying. It was canceled because it was doomed to be a complete fucking disaster from the very beginning. You don't have issues this fucking bad because of an hour-long storm. You don't have this much universal uproar from fans, staff, and bands when it was just an unfortunate weather issue you were helpless against. Fans aren't people who were just too weak to handle some weather. When people in the music industry say it was the worst show they've ever experienced in their entire lives.
And I told this guy straight to his face, dude, I have been touring for almost 17 years. Actually, probably about 17 at this point. I've never encountered a more unprofessional, unorganized, unsafe festival in my entire life. Not only for the bands, but for the crew, for your staff at the festival on site, and especially for the fans.
So who is responsible for this absolutely catastrophic shitfest? Well, the man in charge of Blue Ridge is this precious little gem named Jonathan Sly, but I'm gonna call him Sly Guy. Sly Guy is a piece of shit scumbag and a liar. He already has 2 ongoing lawsuits due to not paying staff for Blue Ridge in the years 2021 and 2022. And I have a feeling that those lawsuits are going to pale in comparison to the big nice fresh one I'm sure he'll be getting soon. I actually didn't know about Sly Guy until everything went tits up this year and most attendees took to the internet to say what a complete prick he is. Apparently, Blue Ball Shitfest and Sly Guy have been well known to have massive issues consistently throughout the years, driving people to boycott the festival. Complaints of insane lines, lack of proper facilities, staff not being paid, and everyone being taken advantage of have been a plague at Blue Ridge for a few years now, apparently. But this year was especially cataclysmic, and I genuinely think this is one of the worst festivals I've ever heard of. It's like it goes Woodstock 99, Firefest, and then Blue Ridge. John Sly, the Sly Guy, in my opinion, bears most of the responsibilities for this complete fucking disaster that endangered thousands of people's lives. This entire situation is filled to the brim with health and safety violations, ADA violations, fraud, and I'm sure a whole shitload more. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I just think that those responsible for this need to face consequences. But Sly Guy isn't alone. This interview just came out the other day with the owner of the Virginia International Raceway, the venue where Blue Ridge was held. And he says,
were you guys a part of that decision making in canceling the remainder of the Rock Festival?
We were, and there was quite a few people, which I would call the emergency management group, that all collectively got together with the data we had at the time and data we had from prior experiences through the weekend to go ahead and make that decision. There was a lot of support in that room and a lot of people that have come out and said, we made the right call.
Despite the clear skies on Saturday afternoon and Sunday. President and COO at VIR, Kerrigan Smith, says it was the aftermath of Thursday and Friday storms that caused the cancellation. Once the decision was made, staff with VIR, Blue Ridge Rockfest, and others made every effort to safely evacuate people.
It was all about how can we help, let's get people going, and it was everybody. It wasn't just VIR.
There was no storm on Friday. Friday was the only day that bands played the entire day. How was the festival shut down from the damage on Friday if after the storm on Thursday, bands performed all day Friday with no issues? This man is lying. I don't know why, maybe for legal reasons to try to figure out who's going to be held responsible for all this, but he is lying.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Something else I found very interesting when researching this was that in Tank the Text video about Blue Ridge, he mentioned he talked with John Sly and he said this.
This guy actually looked shocked. He looked surprised. He was like, man, I don't get it. Like, we hired the production staff from Sick New World, big festival, to handle all this because they know what they're doing and they know how this stuff goes.
Does anyone remember a while ago when some metal YouTuber made a video about what a disaster Sick New World was? Didn't I mention in that video that all the bands were pissed off, all the sets were fucked up, and the backstage was totally unorganized? I don't know who this production team is. I know literally nothing about them, but I find it very curious that they handled both Sick New World and Blue Ridge Ball Slap, both of which were completely unorganized piles of shit. I have no idea what other festivals this production team has worked and how those ones went, but I found this very interesting. Blue Ridge was an unfucking believable disaster that absolutely could have been prevented if it hadn't been unorganized and run by money-hungry shitheads who didn't give a fuck about anything other than trying to squeeze as much money out of fans as possible. No one, not bands, not fans, not crew workers, not staff, no one should have to go through this experience ever again. For all the people who were there and suffered through it, I am so sorry you had to deal with this shit. I know for some people it was their first festival. I know people traveled hours and hours to get there and never saw a band. I know everyone is not only out so much money that they deserve to get every cent of back, but the time, stress, and turmoil of all this takes its own toll. When their gaslighting campaign first started, they posted this message saying, "We have met extensively with the artist over the last hour. While the stage, sound, and lights are good to go on the festival end, when the top several bands checked their equipment prior to us opening, they all found significant equipment damage suffered, making it impossible for each to play." This is a complete lie. This is not true at all. Did you see any of the bands announce they had to cancel other shows? I want to wrap up this video by saying to everyone who was there and everyone who might still for some reason consider going even after all of this, don't let this sly motherfucker gaslight you. Don't be quiet about this. Tell your story of what really happened so that it's so loud and so well known that their bullshit weather excuse gets drowned out with the truth. I always appreciate when people share my videos, but for this one in particular, I'm asking you to please share this video so everyone knows the truth about Blue Ridge Rockfest. Not just this video, but please share Tank the Text video. Please share fan videos and TikTok compilations of the evidence. Share videos of people who were there. Everyone knows about Firefest, and Blue Ridge should be right there with it. To the people who were excited about this being their first festival and are now traumatized from it, please know that nothing about this was normal in any way. This is not how festivals are. This is not what the rock and metal community is about. I have never seen bullshit like this. Please know that literally every festival is better than this one. People were commenting saying the gathering of the fucking juggalos was way more organized and professional than this shit. So please don't let bullshit Ball Slap Fest stop you from experiencing a real actual festival sometime. I hope everyone who was there gets as much compensation as they possibly can, and I hope that Sly Guy enjoys his future career as an Uber Eats delivery driver, where he'll probably upcharge everyone and steal their french fries. For more from me, check out my band Dark Insanity on Instagram and here on the channel. We're working on our demo we'll have ready soon. Our next show is at the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Los Angeles on December 8th, and we're playing the Tulminator Festival next year in Slovenia, which is going to be amazing. We will never play a festival or a show that Sly Guy is affiliated with. If you like this video and want to see more of my stuff, consider subscribing to the channel, and maybe consider becoming a member. All of those are greatly appreciated. And shout out to my Rockstar members, Scars of Oblivion and Charles Florio. Big thank you to those guys for helping out the channel. Thank you all for watching. I hope everyone who went through this is okay, and I'll see you in the next video.